Hello class, long time no talk. I hope the semester has treated you well. We are getting near the end of days, that magical time of the semester where we realize we've gone for, 14 weeks, and it's all coming to an end here within the next 2.5. And for most of y'all, this would be the last history class you ever have to take in your life. That's got to be a good feeling. You should always take more. Take those 2,000 level classes and all that. If you haven't taken 1301 yet, well, okay, you're almost halfway done. This is perhaps my last video. I might make another one near the end of the semester or after the class is over to kind of go over everything. But most likely this might be the last time we see each other. If you go back to my earlier videos, it seems like a long time has come and gone. No Shave November has come along, right? My hair's got a little shorter as far as losing it, largely because of these online classes and involved in them. But overall, I think it's been a really good semester so far, and there's just a little bit more to go. And all I want to do in this video is quickly explain the last few assignments there, right? And give you one last pep talk. A little word of warning, I am up here at an HCC campus, and I have a class starting in a little while. Quite possible that a student or two are going to come in. I have one student that always shows up 20 minutes early, overachiever or something like that. I don't know. If she comes in, then just ignore her on that. But I want to get this video out, and I'd like to get it out today. And just because I've had a few people ask me about the monograph and the assignments. So let me start with actually one topic really quick, the midterm exams. Overall, I was very pleased with the grades on the midterm. Generally speaking, as you probably see, the multiple choice, they come straight from the quizzes. It's a random selection from your quizzes. From each of the quizzes, randomly selects, I think, 8 of them per quiz. And, the quizzes are open all the way up through the exam day. Coming into the final, it's going to be the exact same thing. So if you didn't do as well as you thought you could have done on the multiple choice part of the midterm, look, when it comes to the final, just go back and review the quizzes. Take them again. That's the only way I know that you can review them, is to actually just take them again. You won't get a score you only get the score the first time you take it, but take them again, and if you're getting all 20 questions right, then you are prepared for that. But the free response, that is really the make or break part of the midterm. And overwhelmingly, I was pleased with the responses in this class. Your mileage, of course, may vary. If you didn't do as well on the free response, the typical answer, I wrote comments on each of them, or at least overall for the exam. The biggest comment that I can make for you, though, is just give me more, tell me more. They're big essays, right? I'm not talking like pages and pages, but these are big questions. And the goal is to take what you've learned from the textbook and how to apply it to a question, to show what you learned, and then also what point can you make based off of that, right? And each of those essay responses has an argumentative part, a part where I want your opinion, your perspective, backed by evidence and such. There'll be the same thing on the final exam, but I have made one huge change. There were 3 free responses on the midterm. There's only going to be 2 on the final exam. I have instead made the questions bigger, and therefore they're worth more points, but you're only going to be required to answer 2 of them. As of right now, as I'm making this video, that the final exam review is posted with the 4 responses. You're going to pick 2 of them, but instead of being worth 40 points each, right, they're going to be worth 60 points each. I think this is actually a benefit. Now you only have to write 2 essays, but they're also worth more, so make sure you take that into account. Be detailed, be specific, show me what you know, show me what you learned on those responses. And don't forget, you can always write them out ahead of time. You can, just on Microsoft Word or whatever you use, right? You can write out your responses in your leisure time and your free time, right? Keep it saved, and when it comes time to take the exam, just copy what you have there, paste it into the HTML editor, and you are done, right? I fully expect if you're not pleased with your grade on the midterm, you have every opportunity to really to boost it up. I'm going to save the monograph analysis for last because I want to probably spend more time talking about that than anything else. Other notes, quizzes. I believe that quizzes are due December 9th. I think that's a Sunday. Yes, it is a Sunday, December 9th by 11:30 p.m. Just make sure you're keeping up with those. I know many of you already completed them. And that's really where we're staying right now in this class. You haven't seen me for a while, for nearly a month, right? Because, well, I mean, what have we been doing this month besides the argumentative essay? Okay. Doing our quizzes, or basically, some of y'all forgetting about history class, right? Which is okay. It's a 16-week class, and it's a largely go at your own pace class. And for some of y'all, maybe you haven't even logged in like 3 weeks after you turn in before you turn in the argumentative essay or something like that. That's fine. I mean it. That is fine in the way this course structure is. I think many of these online classes, they should be shorter classes. They have their own issues, the short classes, but when you have a big one like this, that goes the entire semester, you can take it in bits and pieces. But now we're down to that last piece, and if you haven't done your quizzes, well, of course, you still have plenty of time, right? You still have, I think, technically 3 weeks, right? Maybe 2.5, depending on the math. But now it's time to start going through it and getting it taken care of. I know there's an issue with the quizzes. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what caused it. I have to think it's when I had a 5-week class during the middle of the semester, and I just took the quizzes in the 5-week class and I copied them over to this one. I think it kept those due dates for some reason. The only place I can see this is in the course files that hidden from you, but when I look at the quizzes, it shows the correct due date and everything. Look, if you take the quiz and it's being posted to the grade book, you are good. Forget what your calendar says, and all that should have already passed anyways. Relax about that. If you are getting credit for the quizzes you took, great. If you're not, well, let me know, right? Let me know as quickly as possible because we got to fix that. But get those done. Those remain open. Remember, the first time you take the quiz, that's the only score that counts. So make sure you're doing well in the first one. But after that, you can go back and review them. And then it'll be open for that week leading up to the final. The final exam, I'm going to open it probably on, you know what, I'm probably going to open it a little bit earlier this time around. There are some people that might just be done with the class, right? And they're just waiting on the final. You've already read your book, you finished your quizzes. I might open it up maybe even this next weekend. And just so if you want to finish the class early and take your final exam and be done, great. If not, you have until Sunday, December 16th at 11:30 p.m. Now, guys, that is as far as I could possibly extend this class. The last day of this class is Sunday the 16th, and I can't push it to midnight. D2L doesn't work that way, so it has to be at 11:30 p.m. I gave some people some extensions in this class on various assignments, and I'm happy, and I was happy to do that. Right? The way I look at it, if you're getting your work done and it's quality work, great, you've done enough. But I can't extend anything past that. I really cannot extend anything past that. So please get all your work done by that point in time, and please do not wait till the last second. I say this as half of y'all will wait till the last second, and that's okay. Just realize you are taking a slight gamble if you do that, because you never know what could happen. Internet issues, right? Dog bites your Ethernet cable, right? Grandma has a problem, right? Get ran over by a reindeer or something. I don't know. You save yourself that stress. Save yourself that panic. Just get it done on time. Okay. Discussions. I made promises that I did not keep. It leads into a larger thing. I sometimes struggle with these online classes. I get them, I like them, I know they offer you an enormous benefit. It is just so alien to how I teach my face-to-face classes. I mean, my face-to-face classes are about discussions, they're about talking about concepts, I think they're somewhat fun, I don't know, as the students. I will ask Abigail if she gets in here. But it's harder in an online class because everything feels so forced if you're going to have a discussion over that. And what I wanted to do was I was going to put up in a discussion post and have people reply to it, and statute of discussion grade on that. I didn't do that, and it's too late now to do that. So here's what I'm thinking. I mean, y'all tell me if y'all like this idea. If you don't like this idea, well, okay. But I don't know how you would. I'll give you credit for discussion. I mean, it's 100 points, right? It's 100 points on the final average. As long as you have made a post, an introduction or something like that, I'll give you the credit for the discussion on that. Now, I know some of you are like, wait a second, I've been pretty active on the discussion boards talking about my, yeah. You know, for those that have been really active, I'll actually give you a little bit of bonus right there too, right? You know you are. And you still have time if you want that little bonus as well. There's other things you can discuss, the final exam review. You know, you can go back to the argument of essay discussion if you want. And there's another post that I'm going to probably end up making. I'll talk about that in just a second. Or if you want to talk about the monograph, that's fine. So when it comes down to the discussion score, just realize as long as you posted something, if you have logged in and posted something in there, take your credit, right? And those that have gone a little bit above and beyond that, then don't feel you're going to be like cheated out of anything for your work, right? Make sure you get something a little bit extra there. Won't be much, but you know, points, right? On that. Leads to the last thing, and the thing I'm probably going to spend the longest time talking about is at the top of the list. If you can read my horrible handwriting, the monograph analysis. Monograph. What is a monograph? It's a really fancy way of saying book about a particular topic. The book essay, the book analysis. Yeah, you had to read a book this semester. I mentioned it a few times, but right now, some of y'all might be having an oh shit moment. Oh yeah, Devil in the White City. Some of y'all probably already read it, and it's a pretty well-known book. It's a bestseller. It's actually a pretty good book, especially if you get past the first couple chapters. It's a little slow at the beginning. It's about a serial killer, right? I mean, come on, how much more fun do we want? You got to read the book, guys. And I know we still have 3 weeks. There's plenty of time. If you haven't even started, you don't need to panic. But you may need to get rolling on it because it is coming up. It is coming due. And you have to read the book. As far as how to write the assignment, I got a couple emails like, I want to start on this, but I don't know how to do it. Now, I got the job here. Really, all you're going to do is first you read the book, and then you answer those 7 questions I posted. It really is as simple as answer those 7 questions in an essay format. Don't just write question 1 and answer it question 2. Put it in an essay, right? And the whole goal of the monograph analysis, the book analysis, the analysis on Devil in the White City is this. Every historian, and Larson is really an historian, it's an historically accurate book, but you know, history is a faulty science. It's a science built up on sources that could be biased, that could be outright lies, you know, that are at least, you know, had to stand the test of time, that we have no perspective on today. We look at the world differently today than people did in the past when they were writing those sources. I mean, history is faulty. Every claim in history is built on very shaky evidence. And so therefore, every claim in history is an argument. It's a point of view. It's a perspective that you're trying to convince the reader that this perspective is probably the accurate perspective. And there's different takes on all that. Therefore, every piece of history largely has an argument. You can sometimes say it's thesis or a main point, the point in which you're trying to convince the reader that this is reality. Larson has a point in this book, a thesis, an argument, a main point. I want you to think, what do you think his main point is? And by the way, that doesn't mean he just necessarily has one main point. I'm not, when you get the first question is, was the book's argument, thesis, or main point? I might believe what I think his main point is, and you might say something differently. That doesn't mean you are wrong. That is the reader. You're getting a perspective from the book, what you think the main point is. You tell me what you think it is, right? I'm not going to say, oh, I disagree, and so trash your essay. Not at all. As long as you make a convincing case that why you think that's the main point, you're fine, right? Because maybe he has more than one main point. But there are points he's trying to make. There is a thesis. There is an argument here. Try to figure out what you think it is. And then ask yourself, question 2, were you convinced? Now, if you're going to have a point, you have a perspective, you have something you say, The only thing that keeps it from being like somebody typing in all caps on YouTube, right, is the fact that you back it up by evidence. And so in question 3, how does the author substantiate their claims, right? Or how does Larson substantiate his claim, basically, right? Give me some evidence where you say, this is the main point. This is the point about Devil in the White City. And here's how Larson attempted to prove that point. Give me specific examples. This question serves two purposes. One, it shows that you've read you see the point in how an author tries to prove it. But also, did you read the book, right? Use specific examples here. Show me that you really come out that you really read this book. I'll come back to that point a little bit more in a second, but that is a big key of this essay. Question 4, what critique or perhaps fault did you find the claim? And even if you disagree with even if you agree with the author, you can still, not every claim is perfect. Once again, faulty evidence, faulty perhaps logic, right? Or some things that are just not as clear or as well explained. I'm not asking you, question 4 is a tough question. Do your best on it. But I'm not asking you to say, what did you dislike about the book? That's not what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for, were there faults in logic? Were there claims that Larson made that you can go like, wait a second, I don't know about that. You might be reaching there. Something along those lines. We'll get into what you thought about the book at the very end. But in this one, we're looking for, were there problems with the proof of the main point? And by the way, there always are. There's no perfect book, there's no perfect history, because of the very fact of what history is. We don't have time machines, we can't go back to the past, and even if we could, we still can't get into everybody's head and say exactly what somebody was thinking. So think about that and do the best you can. It is a tough question, but I think the best questions are often tough questions, because that's what really gets us thinking about the historical process. Question 5 and 6 are very simple. That's the source. You know that part of the book at the very end with all the bibliography and the sources and the works cited that you never bothered to read, because why would you? Well, this time kind of skim through it. Go look at it. See, and by the way, Larson helps you out of this. He has a short little part where he tells you how he researched this book. Read through that, look through the sources, and see if there's general trends. Are you using a lot of primary sources, using a lot of secondary sources? Primary sources are direct first-hand accounts. Secondary sources are usually historical works after the fact, where we historians describe it. In other words, Devil in the White City is a secondary source about the Gilded Age, right? A primary source would be, say, somebody writing their journal or during the Gilded Age, right? Which one? Typically, we prefer primary sources, but that doesn't mean secondary sources are necessarily poor. But which one are you using most of? And were these? And then question 6: were these adequate? Look up a couple and evaluate them just real quick. I'm not asking you to spend hours in researching like Larson did, or days or years like he did. But just grab a couple of these, say, okay, what is this? And just so you get some general background information. And then question 7, don't forget to answer note 7. But it is really just kind of a fluff question. It's what you think of the book. This is your opportunity to slam it or to praise it or basically whatever. The reason I have this question is actually not for your benefit, it's for next semester's benefit. I try to pick books in this class that there is at least some expectation that some people can enjoy. I mean, look, anytime you're assigned a book, it kind of takes away the enjoyment of reading. Anytime you have to do something, typically it becomes a little more onerous or, not as much fun. I was forced to read Hemingway back in the day, and I fucking hated Hemingway. I was like, I gotta read through this. And then I started reading Hemingway on my own. I was like, oh, wow, this is actually pretty good. And never read for something like For Whom the Bell Tolls. Do it without somebody forcing you to do it, and you might say, man, that's a good book. That's like, holy cow. But if I say, you must read For Whom the Bell Tolls, you're like, I gotta go through this story of Robert Jordan. It is terrible. Too bad, you gotta read it, right? But try to get through it and explain what you thought, because if I get a lot of negativity about a book, I remove it. I've taken off books off the list before. I've done Devil in the White City now for I think a year and a half, because typically speaking, student response has been pretty good about it, but not always, and not universal. So tell me what you legitimately thought. That's the essay. Turn it in. I grade it pretty light. I'm pretty lenient on it as long as you answer the 7 questions fully. Because just like the argumentative essay, there is no page limit on this. I'm not saying go write a 5-page paper about the book, because if I say that, everybody's going to write a paper to get to 5 pages and then turn it in. Oh, here we go. And it is Abigail. So so there's no page limit necessarily. Just fully answer the questions. I'd rather you focus on that. Turn it in, and sorry, I got a little distracted on there. But one thing you do want to make sure is it comes very clear through the essay that you have read the book. So let me just spend a couple of seconds on that, guys. It's written in bold on the instructions. There's 1,000,001 reviews online for Devil in the White City. I'm sure there's spark notes, there's summaries, things like that. Guys, the assignment is to read the book and write the essay. I can't say it more clear than that. Do not use those. If you read the book and did the assignment, there's no reason to use those, because I want to hear what you think. Right? That's kind of the goal. If I hear stuff that looks very regurgitated from online, it's really going to alert me. And here's the truth. I mean, if you use outside sources, you need to cite them. And if you do not, we got another one. And if you do not cite them, you have in essence committed plagiarism, which we all know what the penalty for that is. We don't want to go down that road. Just read the book, right? Read the book and answer the questions, and you're going to do fine on it. You really will if you fully answer the questions. And you know what? You might find you actually like the book. Can't promise that, but you might find that. Okay, I think that hits the major points. Your argument of essays will be graded soon. Hopefully by tonight on that. I got an email, somebody said that I hadn't graded their midterm. I thought I graded all of those. If I haven't graded your midterm, yeah, please let me know on that, because I thought I graded those like a month ago. Regardless, do great work. I might make one more video, I think, near the end of class, because I'm going to have to wrap this one up short because this class is about to start. But everybody's doing great. Don't panic. Yes, it's near the end of days, but that's all you got to do right there, guys. All right. If you have any questions, of course, send me an email, send me a text, whatever it might be. And until we talk later.